Hi everyone, welcome to Bushwick Famous. My name's Yan.
I'm Steph.
And today we're going to be talking about the whole kerfuffle of AI training on people's music without their consent, without being licensed, people not being compensated for it, and the ongoing lawsuits against SUNO and UDIO. But before we get into that,
really complicated.
Steph wanted to...
Shut up. We've been doing this.
I know.
Okay, first of all, tell me why you're wearing leather pants in 80-degree heat that have tire tracks on them. All right, so let's start with that. Since we're calling each other out today.
Absolutely. It's an ongoing trend. We've been calling each other out on social, so now we gotta do it on the podcast.
See, we're both bitches. I've been saying this.
Anyways, to answer your question, it is totally a stylistic preference. I don't know what you're talking about in 80-degree weather. Leather pants.
I love being sweaty in a trash bag.
Sweaty.
In fake leather pants, mind you. Oh no, are these...
No, I think they're fake leather.
I think they're fake, but they're good fake leather.
They are. It's a Ukrainian brand, tattoo sweaters. But anyways.
Slava Ukraini.
Anyways, I'm shooting a music video with Diary almost immediately after we record this. So, and the concept of it, which hopefully will work out, is we are like a band of dead ghost musicians haunting someone. So I figured my leather pants with tracks.
You got hit by a Mack truck.
Yes, it is fitting. So we'll see.
Well, okay, so in my related thing about this is, Jan, have you been watching The Vampire Lestat?
No.
Have I talked to you about this at all?
Not much, because I've never seen it.
So my oldest friend, Katz, they've been into Interview with a Vampire as long as I've known them, with many criticisms of Anne Rice, as most people, I understand, have. So the show that AMC's been doing, adapting the books, it's on the 3rd season now, and so they've moved on to essentially covering the book The Vampire Lestat.
Right.
And in that book, Lestat is a modern-day rock star, which in the book was like the 80s modern day. When they've adapted it, it's in 2025. And so and they've kept him a rock star.
Okay.
And so Sam Reed is like, the actor is like rolling around shirtless in fucking leather pants all the time. And the songs are like kind of glam rocky, kind of grunge rocky. And he actually has a beautiful voice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he has a nice vibrato. Like he's a good singer. And I have been seeing all these people online being like, either, oh, the songs are bad or the songs are great and I love them. And this friend of mine, Katz, and I were watching the finale together, and they were like, I think it's funny that in universe, like, his songs kind of suck. And I was like, what do you mean? They're fun. And they were like, well, whatever. There's sort of all these points in the universe where it's like, this isn't as successful as he wants it to be.
Oh.
Like, someone's like, you're playing 800-seater venues. And I, as a rock person, am like, wow,
yeah,
that's pretty good.
That's pretty. Yeah,
and also, their debut fucking like glam rock album. This is also like a tribute act kind of in universe, because the book that his ex wrote about them is out and is like this cultural phenomenon.
Okay.
And is maligning him. So he's like starts the band as a response to that, to kind of be like, no, all this shit you wrote about me is not true. Here's my version of it.
Wow.
Right. So there are a lot of factors working against it being cool. And canonically, it debuts in the Billboard Top 100 at 68. And I'm like, for a debut glam rock band, that's really good.
That's amazing.
It's framed in the show like it's horrible failure. Like, what the fuck? You people are crazy.
That's wild.
I know. And then also, so the actual point that I had is, I like a bunch of the songs. Some of them are totally bangers to me. Some of them are not so much. And I was reflecting on the reason why. And I think it's the same as the Christian rock thing, as my thesis for the Christian rock thing. Because obviously it's based on a book. And it was the songs were written by 2 very good musicians, right?
Right.
It's based on the book. You want the lyrics to have some of the lore in them, and you have to communicate this character's personality.
Sure.
And there's like, there's some cool little like phrases from the book that they work in, like, the Savage Garden or whatever is like a quote from the book of how Lestat describes Earth or whatever. It's, a bunch of shit that they're trying to work into the songs. And because of that, there's some places where you're like, wow, musically, that does not make any fucking sense, right? Like, that's either like shoved in there, or it like breaks the rhyme scheme in a way that doesn't really work, or there's one song that I really wanted to be good because it's the hottest a man has ever looked in that show, I swear to God, by which I mean shirtless, pigtails, eyeliner.
Okay, that makes sense. That checks out for your type too.
I know, but it's just such a bad song because they're doing like a 1 da 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 2 da da da,
right?
But they're rhyming with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great, you don't do that. That's not how that mechanism works.
No.
Right? I'm listening, and to the extent that I was listening to it, and I was like, why don't these phrases rhyme with each other? Because that's how this mechanism works. And I was like, oh, they're rhyming with the numbers.
That's so.
Why would you do that? And it's shoehorning in these like vampire laws that they're supposed to live by, right? So it's like there's only so many ways you can phrase it, I guess. So that's what the workaround they found. But I was like, okay. Again, I want this song to be good, but it kind of sucks.
Right.
it's because you're shoehorning, and also, to be fair to the musicians, that song canonically was written in a night. So, sure.
Wow,
whatever.
That's impressive.
Right. So, like, hey, if that was their intent with that song, awesome. Love it. Also, final note on this, you being like, yeah, that's not surprising that that's what you're attracted to. I know. And I was talking with someone online, and we were both like, yeah, unfortunately, Sam Reed, the actor, beautiful man.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm much more attracted to Lestat than to him as a person.
I mean, that happens so often.
I know, but he's an awful, like, jerky rock star vampire toxic douchebag.
Right. Sure. Okay.
I was like, yeah, this makes sense about me. Of course it does.
That's really funny.
I wanted to bring that up because I was like, it's the Christian rock effect.
It is.
Look at that.
I love that.
That said, I do endorse some of the songs. A lot of them are bangers. I stand by that.
I'm gonna have to just listen to the album.
Yeah,
I'm assuming it's out.
Yeah,
like all of
it's
it.
on Spotify, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, okay. To get back into the topic of the episode,
I'm ready to passenger princess this bitch with my cup of grenadine onto AI.
Onto AI. A really, really crucial topic, and a lot of updates are coming out as we're recording. Like within the past couple of weeks alone, there have been major changes in legislation or like proposals to changes in legislation. So I'm going to talk a bit about that, but beforehand, a brief intro. Artificial intelligence is something that has steamrolled into our lives intentionally. It's backed by corporations, and a lot of people don't have a say in its use currently. It's in your Gmail, it's in your phones, it's in the apps that you use, it's on Instagram, it's like being pushed by Meta in your face everywhere.
That it is.
And now it's further perpetuating into the music industry, not for necessarily good reasons, unfortunately.
I don't know what a good reason would be.
One of the big things that's been happening lately from a user perspective is AI-generated playlists, and music is starting to pop up on DSPs more and more frequently.
As we were talking about with Spotify the other day.
Exactly. So a lot of the times, or at least currently, these artists and AI playlists are not necessarily flagged as AI generated or using AI tools.
Sure.
So a lot of people don't even realize that they might be listening to AI music or listening to an AI generated playlist.
I've seen a bunch of like AI artists that are, clearly AI when you look into them or whatever, that are just not tagged. Like, I don't think anyone's tagging their music as AI because who would listen?
We'll get to that later, but yeah, it's a big upcoming concern because a lot of musicians are feeling like there's an oversaturation in the market of people that are not actually putting time and genuine effort and personally, subjectively talent into some of this music that's being distributed.
Right. I don't think you can even claim that talent is being put into it when you're just, prompting.
Exactly. But before we dive into all of it, I want to set up some terminology just so we have the basics on what artificial intelligence is, what AI in music means. So artificial intelligence is technology that enables computers and machines to simulate human learning, comprehension, problem solving, decision making, creativity, and autonomy. AI music, therefore, is music either fully generated by AI or created with the substantial use of AI tools. That can be generating samples, it could be used in mixing and mastering and production, but more recently, it's being used by fully composing tracks.
Right.
And it is also possible to make AI-generated backing tracks for live performances. Some people have apparently been doing that.
So lame.
It is just like an easier way to make music, which was kind of the original goal of introducing AI tools, is making it more accessible, kind of like AR art, and people being able to prompt stuff online, being like, make me look like a Ghibli character. And that's supposed to make it more accessible, even though quite literally anyone and everyone can pick up a piece of paper and draw something if they really want. A part of this whole conversation is copyright infringement. So I'm going to get ahead and define what copyright is. So
Yay, more copyright law.
More copyright law.
We're going to be so good at this. Your mom must be so proud.
I hope she is.
As a lawyer and a mother.
I do want to preempt this, saying that this is where my music business degree comes in, and I want to thank my publishing professor, Susan Dotis, for providing this definition and just general understanding of
my preempting of stuff like this is like, warning, I am a moron. I do not understand law whatsoever. Fuck you. Okay, continue.
Okay, so copyright is the basis for everything that happens in the music business. It's the concept that is monetized. It's the element that allows one entity to use the creative concept of someone else. As a legal concept, copyright is a protection granted to the creator and owner of a specific piece of work. As a noun, it's legally protected work of authorship in a tangible form of expression, sometimes known as intellectual property. So any mechanical CD, a vinyl, lyrics written down on a piece of paper. And that's why, to this day, it's still considered a proper form of copyright if you send a CD of your music in the mail with like a government stamp. That's considered that you have registered your copyright, because it is a tangible form of your intellectual property of your music, and the government stamp provides an official verification
of what day you created,
day and time.
Okay.
So
fascinating.
Yeah. While you don't need to do that today, you can't just go online and register. That is something that used to be pretty like standard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I know that, like, as you know, as a business owner, I have been avoiding figuring out what I need to know about copyright, right? Because like technically I think I need to copyright the business name or something.
Yeah.
Haven't done that. Please don't steal my business name.
Oh no.
But yeah, I understand almost nothing about the process of it.
Well, we can definitely do a dedicated episode to just copyright 101, but that's just like the basics within music.
Sure.
So jumping back over to AI, to build any AI tool, it requires extensive training and improvement. We're all familiar with it.
So fun fact about, I worked with LLMs, right?
Yeah.
So for the viewer, in a previous life of mine, I interned for many years at a software company that used large language models that used machine learning, to create software that analyzed emotional facial expressions in humans. And I was on the science team and not the engineering team, so I do not know like the ins and outs of how the machine learning worked, but my understanding at the time, and this was in like 2015 around then, was that none of the people working on it really understood how machine learning worked. Like, it's kind of, again, my understanding of it at the time was it's kind of a black box insofar as you feed the data set in and then you get out a certain thing.
Right.
And there's no way to, and you can see this in like AI art too, is like there's no way to go back and edit a particular thing because there's no process that's being followed. Like, I would say to the engineering guys, like, hey, the model is sort of like missing this one thing that it should be picking up on. Can we like adjust the data set or like tell it to do that or something? They were like,
that's wild.
Maybe they were bullshitting me because I was an extremely precocious like teenager who was interning at their MIT company or something. But I don't, to a great extent, they were like, we put in the thing and it comes out, something else comes out. I was like, okay, that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, that does really sound terrifying.
Right. I was like, why are we working with this?
Yeah. It's just not having any control or understanding of the process.
Right. I'm like, that doesn't seem very scientific either.
I know we'll kind of touch on this as I'm about to like delve into the two major AI music companies, SUNO and UDIO.
Yes.
On the note of like not being able to adjust the process once AI has generated something to you, or for you rather. This is kind of relates to SUNO and UDIO, which are the two largest music AI platforms today. They have different plans that are based on credits that you can pay for.
I've been hearing a lot about like credits or like some shit to do, or tokens or something to do with that in other AI circumstances recently.
In this particular case, it's purely just a way to track how many things you can generate on their platform.
Right. So it used to be free to generate things, and now that you're reliant on it, it costs a little bit of money.
Exactly. And UDIO,
business model.
Pretty sure it's UDIO. They are the ones that are trying to implement more features in actually being a bit more particular and meticulous with what you can change with the product that you receive. But I think it is still very much in beta and very complicated to go in and kind of play around with the different features. I didn't try it out. I refuse to like test it out, considering what's going on, which we'll talk so much more about today. But one of the big things with these two platforms is based on the plan that you get, you receive commercial use rights for the music that it generates for you.
Well, right, because you can't copyright. Wasn't there a ruling you can't copyright a wholly AI generated work?
So it is something that's being discussed legally, and there are certain protocols being put into place on whether or not you can copyright fully like an AI generated song. But as of now, you can make money off of it. You can commercially sell it, you can use it in ads, you can obviously upload it to DSPs, and most of them will not flag it and not take it down.
Right, I mean, how are they going to?
So that's something we'll touch on as well.
Sure.
But basically, it's kind of crazy to think that these tools that are using other people's creativity and music to spit out some new music, supposedly, they're not reusing it, they are able to make a profit without crediting any of the musicians' work that they used to train their system.
Right, yeah, because that's not what it's putting out. That's just what we use to train it.
Exactly.
Yeah. The training data set.
So that's the whole thing with SUNO and UDIO. There's a massive lawsuit going on against both of them from a bunch of different parties, including the top major labels and independent music creators. But to start, I want to talk a little bit about the lawsuit with the Recording Industry Association of America, which is backed by Sony, Universal, and Warner.
RIAA?
Yes.
Okay. I know the acronym more than I do the actual name.
We're going to use the acronym moving forward.
Yeah, because that's how everyone knows them, I feel
Exactly. So have you heard anything about this lawsuit by chance?
Zero.
Totally fair. Basically, Universal, Sony, and Warner, they have two separate lawsuits against SUNO and UDIO for the use of their artists' music in the training of the AI tools.
Good.
And basically,
doing something useful.
In response, SUNO and UDIO provided strong evidence showing that their training process is protected by the fair use doctrine. They argue that any copying was intermediate and transformative. So it was done in the back end and wasn't like really directly used to, like, pieces of the music that they trained on wasn't used to reproduce like any sort of music that they put out.
Unfortunately, that from a layman's perspective, that does seem like it would fall under fair use to me.
It kind of does, but when you look more into it and the fact that they just scanned the internet and YouTube and just pulled all this music without anyone's consent to repurpose it and use it to create a tool that no one really has control over what is actually like what it's based on.
Yeah.
It's whether it's under the fair
bad.
use.
Don't get me wrong.
Exactly.
It feels like fair use
really
might be a good argument for them, but I think it should be illegal for other reasons.
100%. So in 2025, this lawsuit started in late 2024, early 2025. And
I can't believe this shit has been around for so long.
I know, it's been a while now. And in 2025, Universal settled with UDIO and decided to partner with them to establish the industry-first strategic agreements under which the companies settled copyright infringement litigation and announced their collaboration on an innovative new commercial music creation, consumption, and streaming experience.
That meant nothing. None of those words
they're putting out,
pointed at anything.
They're planning on putting out a new app and tool, basically, in partnership with UDIO. And so
thanks, Sony.
This is Universal.
Oh, thanks, Universal.
Yeah, wait until we get to Sony, though.
Oh.
So whether or not any of the artists really had any say in this is kind of questionable.
I don't know if it's even a question.
Exactly.
To be honest with you.
I hope,
knowing labels,
and generally there would definitely be some process in place for artists to be able to opt in or opt out of their music being licensed to the use of this whatever new tool. But the fact that Universal kind of just settled and didn't really push back for any further compensation.
Yeah, great job lawsuiting, guys.
Is not great because.
Who's UDIO backed by? Because isn't Suno's Mark Cuban or something, right?
Oh, I'm not sure. Who is UDIO backed by?
I might be wrong about Suno. Oh, wow. Andreessen Horowitz, will.i.am, Common. Who the fuck is Mike Krieger?
I have no clue.
Wait, see if I was right about Suno. Yeah, he's fucking VCing them.
Yeah.
Man. Fuck.
Why Mark Cuban thinks music is basically what? The worst industry ever.
he was on that Billboard podcast that I didn't that was talking about geese, and they were totally sucking his dick about it, and then went on to the geese episode, and we're like, hey guys, stop.
Oh my god. Anywho, weeks later, after Universal settled with UDIO, Warner Music withdraws from the lawsuit.
Oh my god, these guys suck at this. Aren't you supposed to be really better at this? This is fucking like corporate warfare. Actually, nut up. Oh my god.
They supposedly come to some sort of settlement with UDIO as well and join in with Universal on licensing their recorded and publishing catalog.
Lame. Boo.
I know. Robert Kinkle, the CEO of Warner, said in a statement, "This collaboration aligns with our broader efforts to responsibly unlock AI's potential, fueling new creative and commercial possibilities while continuing to deliver innovative experiences for fans." So currently, Sony is the only major that is still suing UDIO for copyright infringement and the use of their recorded music. And then when it comes to SUNO, Sony and Universal are still suing SUNO. Warner has settled with them as well. So basically, these majors, which was kind of expected, their goal with this lawsuit was really to just leverage the situation, be able to profit off of it in their own way and create a new...
They're corporations. They don't have morals. They operate on money.
Exactly. Just create a new system for themselves to monetize music in a whole new way.
Well, now we can get rid of those pesky artists.
Exactly.
There's such a drain on the system.
Right? That totally are not worth it.
They keep asking for all this money.
It's so wild. Anywho, earlier this week, actually, on the topic of the majors, Sony, they tried adding 30,000 songs to the ongoing lawsuit with UDIO. So they are continuing to delve into actually finding the exact songs and artists whose copyright has been infringed. And they found 30,000 more on top of the millions of songs that were used from their catalog. So,
okay, so I've seen people we know being like, oh my God, they were using my songs to train on. Yeah. How can you possibly find that out?
So there are tools. The Atlantic and Deezer have tools set up where you can search whether or not your music was trained. They basically...
How do they know?
They have a system in place to scour the internet. The other thing about it is, they don't really disclose the actual process of how the platforms function. So there's very little transparency on that front.
I mean, I know when we were a lot of training data sets come from just scraping the fucking internet, right? Where I worked, we had to have people opt in to giving us their data, because it would be recording their faces while they watched shit. which led to me watching a lot of like random dudes in their bedroom shirtless reacting to stuff, which I guess is what the whole internet is now. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so true. Not to put anyone on the spot, there's like this creator on Instagram that literally just reacts to music and has gone viral for it and just listens to songs in his office, like just, bedroom kind of office in the dark.
Yeah.
And I think it's, sweet that like human interaction is what's being kind of praised by the public rather than, I don't know, criticized. Because at the end of the day, it's fun to share music with people, and if it's a new experience and someone sharing their new experience and new exposure to a song,
all right,
it's kind of cute. It's fun. I get it.
All right. I'm Scrooge. I get it. I don't like reaction, which also like this is extremely hypocritical because we're making a podcast that is criticizing things.
I know,
right? So yes, I'm aware that I am being a total intellectual snob about this. But like YouTuber reaction culture where you're like unboxing something.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's so fucking stupid, dude.
It's really funny.
And I have a thing, which is, again, hypocritical because we're doing this now, where I'm like, why don't you make a primary source, right? Why don't you make a thing rather than just reacting to shit?
Definitely.
But again, we are one layer removed from or more, right? If we're using fucking like articles and shit. But we are also like synthesizing things. If we're doing it right? Definitely. Like there is an element of creation there rather than just, oh, look at that thing. Oh my God. This is gonna, like, everyone I know in our generation is like, I don't know, not everyone, but like a lot of people are like pro this form of YouTube slop. And I fear I'm going to get like canceled or have people I know push back on me about this. I think it's fucking dumb.
Fair enough.
I'm an intellectual snob. Sue me.
The other thing that we kind of talked about briefly was that Sony was trying to add 30,000 songs to their ongoing lawsuit with UDIO. And they wanted to add it to the existing lawsuit. But the U.S. District Court Judge, Alvin K. Hellerstein, refused to allow that, arguing that this increases the lawsuit's scope and will further delay the proceedings. So they had to file a completely separate lawsuit with this additional 30,000 songs on top of the already millions of songs that they found that were used in AI training models.
So weird, because why would 30,000 significantly increase the scope when you already have like millions in there?
Exactly.
That's really strange.
It's very, very odd and honestly unfair. The fact that it has to be such a complex system to make sure that as many artists that were involved in this, stealing in this lawsuit actually get compensated and recognized for this issue.
Yeah.
And you'd think now that Universal and Warner are officially licensing their catalog, things would be a bit more streamlined and fair for their artists. Unfortunately, it's not.
I've never associated streamlined and fair with licensing, unfortunately, having known someone who works in licensing.
It's such a complicated system. And unfortunately, it is not very streamlined or fair to this day. The American Federation of Musicians has sued Universal Music Group and Warner Music Group, claiming the two companies licensed recordings made it by its members to AI music firms SUNO and UDIO without paying or crediting the musicians who played on them. Essentially, the American Federation of Musicians, or AFM, are claiming that session musicians who performed on tracks licensed to SUNO and UDIO should be financially compensated under the New Use article in the Sound Recording Labor Agreement. New use is when a song is used within a new medium, for example, licensed for a commercial or to create content in a new medium, whatever it may be, film, advertising.
You could argue that a song isn't a new medium, but I guess the argument is that the data set is?
From my understanding, it is that the song is the new medium, that supposedly this song that these session musicians had played on, part of it is still being used within AI. So I guess, within the training model.
Yeah.
So maybe not necessarily in the resulting songs that AI outputs, but yeah, like you were saying, in the AI model.
Right. I think at least with visual artists, the popular conception is that pieces of work will be used whole cloth in like new AI creations. And that isn't quite true given how, like, you know, machine learning works, right? It's like learning the patterns and recreating them.
Right.
So, like, hypothetically, it's not technically literally taking your shit and recreating it. But again, that honestly becomes a very semantic argument. And either way, your art is being used to train it without your consent. So, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's also very much dependent on the session musicians' contracts and agreements with the people that they've recorded with.
Right.
If they did agree on a flat fee, then maybe not necessarily they would be able to request for any sort of additional fees if their music is licensed. But if within their contract it is explicitly stated or fully omitted, because under the sound recording labor agreement, any sound recording musician, if their work is used in new use or a new medium, they are obligated to be compensated for that work. So even if it's not directly within their contract, legally within the US, they should be compensated.
Right.
But if it is specifically stated that they just have a flat fee, then they can't necessarily.
Sure, you're giving up rights,
Yes.
essentially.
Yeah. Of course, both labels are pushing back, saying the article the AFM are referencing does not apply to AI music. Personally, I think the AFM has every right to push for this.
Right.
Considering how new of a medium this is and new technology it is, I think musicians need to push for as many rights and as much compensation as possible in this.
Now's the time.
Exactly.
The cement's wet.
100%. With the labels pushing back, the AFM, their main argument, an example in comparison to this particular situation is when video game music licensing first came into play and video games started incorporating actual music into their scores and hiring musicians to write music for their scores. The AFM had to push for session musicians to be compensated if any sort of piece of music was sampled in a video game, they would receive some sort of financial compensation and recognition for the use.
So actually, interesting thought here. At the very beginning of this episode, I went on my rant about the Vampire Lestat music part, and I've told you privately I want to do like a little mini episode on how that's shaking out. And one of the things I'm interested in is on streaming, the credits are like like a songwriter and a producer, and then literally the Vampire Lestat is the credit. So there's no clarification as to who like the session musicians were or anything.
Right.
And also, I'm wondering if that has any relation to like whether or not the actor would be getting royalties from that, right? Because you would think he should be, obviously.
If he was performing on it directly,
Yes, he's performing it. Yeah, he is singing. He is not the songwriter, but he is singing. So it was interesting to me, I guess, just to see that little credit, because I was like, damn, I wonder who's like the session musician on this, and then I was like, oh, well, that's not helpful.
Right. Wait, was this on Spotify or something? Okay.
Yeah, it appears to be the actual like listed credits.
I guess they're really leaning into it being like a real life kind of character.
And I love that.
Back to AI. What is the music landscape looking like now that these tools are so accessible? SUNO and UDIO are just a click away for so many people. For one, we have AI artists ranking on Billboard's top charts. Boom. Some of these AI artists, or one of these specific AI artists that has ranked on Billboard's top charts is Zanaya Monet. She was the first AI-powered artist to debut on an Airplay chart in 2025. She is an artist with an animated avatar character, and supposedly the person that has created this character does say that, you know, human creativity is involved in the process.
Sure, involved.
Sure, you're prompting it, I guess,
also,
but you're... Yeah.
Is the character a black woman?
It is.
I don't love that.
Yeah.
That's weird. I mean, I don't know anything about the creator, but like I see the potential for this to go very wrong, I guess is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Not her particularly, but like
I mean, this isn't the first time an AI persona or like a virtual persona has gained mainstream popularity.
Was it Lil Michaela?
Yes. Yeah, wait, she did become they started putting music out under her name at some point too, I think.
Oh, the long con. Fuck. God damn it.
But anyways,
that was weird too, and that happened a couple years ago.
Yeah,
back when this was like very novel, and also, I guess they were open about her being a robot or whatever. Like, there was a little storyline. I think that's something, even though I'm sure they used some sort of machine learning program to generate the images of her because she is, like, wholly made up.
Yeah.
I think. Like, that's something where I'd say, okay, that's human creativity that is supplemented by AI. And, you know, we may all have our feelings about the environmental impact of that or whatnot. But at least that is, like, a story that people came up with, hypothetically.
Hypothetically, yeah. Back to Zanaya Monet. She was created by Mississippi-based songwriter Talisha Nikki Jones. Quoting from a Billboard article, Jones writes the lyrics and has used SUNO along with help from some other humans to create the songs.
If my name was Talisha Nikki Jones, I would just use that as my stage name. That's an excellent fucking name.
It is a great name.
Right? Why make up a second character?
I know. Monet, the AI-generated character, made headlines in September when she debuted on multiple Billboard charts, hot gospel songs with the song Let Go, Let Go, which climbed to number 3 in 2025.
It's very grim that gospel is the first one you've got there.
It is. Well, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, a lot of these AI artists that I'm going to just briefly touch on, their primary genre is gospel or Christian rock. And
we need to get Emily in and listen to some of that.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck.
And R&B is also one of the genres, which is a little weird.
Right, because I was about to say the gospel, as much as that I would say conflicts with the idea of like religion and what, you know, gospel should be, to me, I would also guess that politically that crowd might lean further right and might just like not have these hangups about AI.
Yeah.
And like not, I don't know, not sort of care as much, not to be a huge douchebag, but like you know, personality trait wise, a high degree of openness in your personality, like openness to new experiences, is associated with both like liberalism and jazz music, right? Like that's sort of a broad personality trait that there is like a difference in between the parties. So I don't know. I guess that makes sense to me in a weird way.
Yeah, as weird as it is. Yeah, it makes sense to me too, unfortunately.
It's also very dystopian though, because you're like, oh, gospel music, the thing where you're like singing about religion and your soul and how much you love God or whatever, like to farm that out to a robot is very grim to me.
It is. Maybe
I don't know.
This is like a hypothesis of, you know, them seeing as potentially spreading the values and gospel to robots, you know.
What? No, not to robots.
Trying to train them to have certain values.
We haven't reached the singularity yet, Yan. Holy shit. Let me live in 2026 a bit longer. Fuck.
Oh my god.
Oh, they're trying to proselytize the robots.
Exactly.
Fuck. There's no way. There's no way anyone is thinking that except you, because you're sick. You're sick.
I'm sorry, it's all the crazy apocalyptic sci-fi books and movies that I've seen. So anyways, Monet has since become the first known AI artist to earn enough radio airplay to debut on a Billboard radio chart, debuting at number 30 on the adult R&B airplay chart dated November 11th. Zanaya Monet also topped R&B digital song sales.
Sexy R&B. Sorry. I mean, it's R&B.
Yes. So, sorry. Zanaya Monet topped R&B digital song sales in 2025, September, and debuted on Emerging Artists, reaching number 18. That's one thing that really, really concerns me, is that AI artists are being pushed into markets such as emerging artists, like on top of the whole thing.
You're literally kicking someone else off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're kicking an actual musician who has put their own emotions, their own blood, sweat, and tears into writing a song.
And you're promoting, literally, like pushing out a fucking AI character over that. That is very alarming to me.
Since then, an AI artist has charted Christian digital song sales, rock digital song sales, and a lot have ranked on the emerging artists chart. Some of these are Juno Sky, a Christian AI-powered artist.
Horrible name.
Emily Blue, a blues rock artist.
That's so that is painful to me. I can't. It's like the AI came up with these names. Like
Very possible.
But like back when chat was like a new thing, I think a couple times I was like, okay, shit, let's try it out. Give me like a couple ideas for captions or something for like social media shit. And it was just the most lame shit possible.
The last AI artist on this list I have is called Breaking Rust, who is it's a country act.
Oh yeah, I heard about this. I don't. Also, again, that name does not make sense, right?
No.
Rust is not something you break.
No.
Like, and it's like you hear it and you're kind of like, oh, okay, a 2-word band name that's like gerund noun. Sure, that's a thing I've heard before. But that you think about it and you're like, that doesn't refer to anything. Like it's so bizarre.
There is an AI rock band that went viral on, I think it was originally on TikTok. Someone had found their music and it was like streaming like crazy on Spotify, millions and millions of streams. They're called Velvet Sundown. We can't include this in the actual episode. We're definitely going to link to the artist page, at least on Spotify,
I guess
for people
to check out how bad they are.
Exactly.
Sure, fine. I don't love it, but sure.
We don't have to. Also, I don't
we
want to promote it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But also, it is very funnily bad.
That's the thing. We took a minute to listen to and just try to understand why, like, where all the momentum came from, because supposedly there was a lot of organic engagement. People were genuinely posting about this new band, being like, wait, who are they? What is this? And mind you, the artist profile, at least on Spotify, the artist photo is very clearly off. Like, it's not a very...
It's all orange, if I recall. It's like through a fog of like an autumn lens on a camera or something. Like, it's very strange.
It's very clearly like digitally created. Yeah. And I think because they had popped up, it might have been 2024 or like early 2025. People were still not super aware of just how advanced AI music.
This was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also, the organic engagement thing. I can actually kind of believe that, right? Because kind of like, first of all, on the one hand, kind of like with the geese thing, right? Is you have some fake engagement and it drums up the real engagement. That's kind of standard and to be expected. But also, I think nowadays it's so rare that a normal person who does not actively seek out rock music hears about a new rock band that is like, oh, it's blowing up, everyone's into them, dude, or whatever, that you're like, whoa, that's crazy. I should like check this out, because that they must be so good, because rock is just like not in the mainstream anymore. So like it's unusual, I think, for a normie, for lack of a better term, to hear about it.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, which is why I hate that is that attention, that limited resource, right, is going to this stupid fucking robot band.
And it's not even good. But a fun little anecdote tied to the Velvet Sundown, there is a real person, this creator and writer, Simon Balch. He decided to create a bootleg version of Velvet Sundown and hired real musicians to re-record the Velvet Sundown's music. And so they're working with actual professional musicians. They're making skits about it to promote on social media.
That's funny.
And they recently got a cease and desist from the Velvet Sundown.
I thought you couldn't copyright AI generated shit.
I think it might be the name itself that they're
the irony
doing the use of. Yeah.
Also, I love that as like performance art. I think that's very funny. However, I don't know if it's worth the time and energy, because those are not good songs.
No.
Like that, again, what we listen to, first of all, such totally generic rock that it has slipped right off my prefrontal cortex. I can't remember anything except the lyrics because we were looking at them. And the lyrics, they don't refer to anything. It's just fucking like adjective, noun, verb phrases over and over. Like these little extremely regular sentence fragments that are arranged in this extremely regular like rhyme scheme that never, deviate from the pattern, right? Because that's how fucking AI works. But it's also like part of the surprise and delight of like music, of art, of comedy particularly, is like surprise, is like anticipating the pattern continuing and then it going a different way. That's part of the art of it. If writing songs was just a fucking, strum pattern and 4-1-4-5 like chord sequence, I mean, and you can do that.
Yeah.
But that's how you end up with songs sounding alike to other like fucking campfire songs, or like Taylor Swift, right? Like her chord progressions you can find everywhere. And so if there is no artistic touch that is like interrupting the pattern you're expecting, then you have, you know, congratulations, created a song that was basically already created by the concept of math, right?
Sure.
Like I've put this chord progression to this beat, and it's going to repeat 4 times, and there's going to be some lyric. Like technically that's songwriting. No one's gonna fault you on that, but
Yeah.
it's not good.
Yeah.
Most would argue.
Definitely. It can be sometimes. There are certain formulas that do work.
Sure, if you're like a blues legend or something. Like it's my point is like
I agree.
The human creativity.
100%. I'm not trying to argue your point.
Yeah, I know. And back to my original point that I was mad about, which is again, the lyrics are just words.
Yes.
Like if you let them skim over the surface of your brain, they sort of pass. But when you actually sit down and look at them and read them, you're like, these aren't even like it's literally like an adjective that could not possibly in the real world be associated with this noun and just smashed together, and that over and over and over until the song's fucking over.
Yeah.
It was very infuriating to me because like I'm clearly having trouble articulating what I find so robotic about it, even though there is to me definitely a cadence that is notable.
Yeah.
And like I've, you know, started picking it up from different places that aren't necessarily like admitting or like, you know, revealing that they've used AI.
Yeah.
And some people I think can't pick it up. I don't know what the difference would be, or just how much you're paying attention to it maybe.
I wonder.
How much you read, I don't know. Not that I read too much nowadays, but like
That is like a really big question for me too, because one of my bandmates the other day made a comment. He had like gone into a cafe, and after sitting there for a couple of minutes, realized that song after song, they were playing some like weird AI slop playlist. And to him, it was very obvious, but I wonder.
he's an
if
expert in that domain.
Well, that's the thing. As like musicians, we have more of a trained ear, or even just like more exposure to live shows, not necessarily as you like as a musician, someone who actively goes to live shows and is part of like some sort of local scene.
Someone who appreciates thinking about art.
Yes. You're just more predisposed to that creativity. And you have more of an ear for it and are able to recognize when something clearly isn't that.
I've made this point on the podcast before. We are surrounded by like weirdo artistic types. Even within New York, we are in like a haven of more weirdo artistic types. I was talking with Emily about this, about something related to like mental illness actually. And I was like, I had to learn as an adult that like, no, not everyone does feel that way. Right. So when I was younger, I thought that was like the empathetic way to go about things. It's like, oh, everybody, you know, relates to this or has had an experience like this, yada, yada. No, there's a whole fucking world of normal people out there, dude, who work in marketing and play pickleball and go to like straight clubs in their spare time. I don't know who they are. And when I meet them, I think we mutually scare each other, but they're out there and they probably are the ones who don't really give a shit about this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
It's scary. It sucks. And I have a little anecdote on the topic of like creativity and not following necessarily those like standard mathematic structures in songwriting.
Yeah.
Shameless plug for Two Man Giant Squid. When we were first putting the band together as like a live performance band.
It was like 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. The first drummer that we started working with, he was very much the type of person that needed your standard song structure to learn a song.
You told me about this, I think, years and years ago.
He would find it very difficult. Like a lot of the earlier songs for Two Man Giant Squid didn't have the standard like verse chorus.
They're quite weird.
Or like verse bridge chorus.
Which is why there's a Two Man Giant Squid song named Verse Chorus.
Yeah.
That I think also does not have a super typical structure.
No.
It's got like a breakdown, you know, it's got bridge and shit, but it is called verse chorus, and many of the lyrics are verse chorus. And it's the thing about those structures is they do make bangers.
Yeah.
That's why Taylor Swift uses them, bro.
Absolutely.
Like they make fucking bangers. And also I think Mitch's irritation at presumably being told to write a verse chorus song translated into that song. It's a good Pit song.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
The banger.
I don't think he has any resentment towards the song itself. It's just the story. The influence behind it is very funny. It's like, in spite of that particular drummer, he was like, you know what? Fuck you. I am going to write a banger verse chorus song.
I feel like for a while, one of you mentioned to me that he was like, oh, come on. Like, that was like the big hit song. But maybe that was just, maybe I made that up, or that was just a passing moment for him.
Yeah, but it's just a funny little anecdote. Delving back into the whole AI conversation, there is a glimmer of hope when it comes to AI music distribution and whatnot. DSPs and certain organizations within the general music industry, like the A2IM and a couple of others, the Recording Industry Association of America.
Right. RIAA.
Yes, RIAA.
That's hard to say out loud. What does A2IM stand for again?
It's the American Association of Independent Music.
Right. That conference I want to go to.
Yes.
I'm still salty about that. It was so expensive.
There is an effort to incorporate a legal requirement to disclose whether AI was involved in the process of making music, or if it was like a substantial part of music. So currently, only Tidal and Deezer require artists and distributors and labels to explicitly disclose whether AI was used in music, and Deezer has their own program that they use to analyze songs.
Which is probably an AI program, right? Which is inherently unreliable in these sorts of cases, I would argue.
That's the thing. There is a chance of a lot of false positives, and I don't
false negative. Like at some point, you know, depending on how sophisticated your AI like training data set is, it's going to pick up on the fact that there are sometimes pattern breaks in songs. Yeah, that's a pattern, right? This is how humans learn shit, right? I mean, that's kind of an arms race inherently, right? As most computer security science stuff is. I don't know. I would be interested to see like actual verification data on that to see like, you know, starting off with like a control group and a group that you like know is AI generated or whatever, see what the machine picks up. That would be very interesting to me.
It would be.
It's like the plastic surgery conundrum, right? You say you hate plastic surgery, it always looks bad on people. You only notice the bad work.
Exactly.
All the good work that flies under your nose, you don't even know what proportion that is to the bad work, so you inherently don't notice it.
Yeah.
It's also what fucking transphobes say about like passing, right? Is you notice people who don't pass. Not that we should give that an iota of attention, but
no.
It's a classic sampling error.
100%. Within the music industry, these organizations are trying to implement a system where it is required across the board for DSPs to flag whether AI was involved. The suggested solution is having something similar to the explicit symbol that's on DSPs, where you need to flag whether there is any sort of explicit language, like in our podcast. Going back to this proposal, the suggestion on how this would be displayed on DSPs is that there would be two different symbols, capital AI and then lowercase AI. The capital AI would signify that it was fully AI generated, and the lowercase AI is that it was AI assisted. So there was maybe not as substantial use. Maybe there were like certain AI tools, like maybe like an AI EQ or mastering tool or something, but the actual
you can
creative,
do that?
Yeah.
Fuck.
But the actual writing process and creative process was still human.
I guess yes, we should differentiate between those two things, but also the idea of having like two separate little labels for them that would be universal across DSPs seems, not that I disagree with it like ideologically, but seems a little silly to me insofar as like I don't think it will happen, because that's also like we have one example of this type of thing, right? It's the little explicit symbol.
Yes.
We are advocating for turning this like one variable thing that we have on DSPs into three. And I think that opens the door for arguments like, well, shit, like, why don't we tag other things? Like, you know what? I don't know what it would be, but I think it would be a significant change in the way that people like interact with DSPs and like recorded music, to the extent that I'm not even sure I can see it happening. If it does, I think I'm all for it, but it seems a little pie in the sky to me almost, honestly.
I get that. And along that line, there is a strong, or maybe not necessarily argument against it, but the concern around it with it being kind of compared to the explicit symbol was incorporated as a means to make DSPs more like safe for children and younger people to, or like just any, not necessarily DSPs explicitly, but just like listening to music in general, making it more family friendly.
Right. The only thing I use the explicit symbol for is determining whether it's the clean version of a rap song that I don't want to listen to.
Exactly.
I want to listen to the explicit version.
For most people, it is not a factor in what they listen to,
right,
and what they expose themselves to.
You barely notice it. Your eyes skip over it, again, unless you are specifically looking at two versions of a song.
Yeah. And similarly for the AI thing, it doesn't pose an immediate threat to anyone. So a lot of the kind of conversation around whether or not it's actually necessary is what would it change within the user experience?
Right. Well, I guess that goes counter to my sort of statement that having those labels would significantly change the way users interact with it. I guess if we wanted them to work, it would have to significantly change how users would interact with it, but I don't think it will.
Yes.
So it won't.
Yeah.
I also, and I brought this up last time, if there was a labeling system such that AI use was like labeled, if that hypothetically drove down streaming numbers for a particular, like if that was, you know, if the data was there to prove that, then suddenly you have an incentive for artists to not disclose that they are using AI.
Absolutely.
You know, and your label then, even though yes, there's technical ways you could like check this hypothetically. I mean, shit, we actually don't really have that unless you like watermark your own songs, which you could do that with AI generated songs. It would just prevent them from being trawled for the data set. Fuck, we have no idea. We have no way to verify that. Yeah, basically is what I'm saying. And then the label further does not have incentive to double check, because if you're marked as AI, then you're in this hypothetical scenario that may or may not come to pass. You're not getting as many streams. So like if it becomes an actual mark on one's reputation, suddenly the incentives are all changed, and like we have incentivized lying essentially. Yeah. So I think it's a really complicated situation.
You would hope that it would do, you know, kind of the opposite and would incentivize people to just not use it. But people are greedy. People are stupid. In a capitalistic society, and I think, you know, that is an incredibly serious concern of just like the lack of disclosure of AI use.
Because there's really genuine, like, there's no way to 100% with evidence, as far as I'm aware, be like, this was made with AI, unless you have a record of it somehow. Like, again, I can listen to the fucking Velvet Sundown and be like, well, this sucks. Yeah. But that's like, again, hypothetically, if a real person brought that song to me and was like, hey, this is my song, my band just recorded it, I would probably still think it sucks. Yeah. Would I immediately be on alert that it was AI? I don't know. Not if someone had lied to me about it, probably.
Right.
I'm pretty gullible. I'm pretty trusting.
I feel the same way. My immediate response is like, no, I would totally know, but I'm the same. If someone comes to me and genuinely is like, this is the song that I wrote, I'm going to...
Would I like it? No. I feel genuinely that both of us would still dislike it. Yes. I don't think we have any bias there that's causing us to not like an otherwise great song. But.
Absolutely. On the note of, and we kind of touched on this a little earlier, of just the false positive flagging of AI.
Right.
The idea of potentially incorporating systems through distributors, or I don't think labels would do this. It would mostly have to be through distributors before going out to DSPs. Incorporating a system to check whether AI was used. There are already situations happening today where people's music is being flagged for AI and people not being able to fight against that claim.
Right, because normally you don't record your songwriting process. No. Like, I mean, actually, that's a lie. A lot of people use voice notes. Some people don't, though, and they shouldn't be punished for that.
No.
In the visual arts, it's become much more standard for, like, especially people who do, like, digital commissions, that sort of thing, which is a bigger part of the industry than I think most people will acknowledge, to have as part of the, you know, informal contract, essentially, to include a screen recorded process video.
Yeah.
And even that, I've seen some people saying that, like, you can try and make AI fake that. Another interesting thing about AI, at least the processes that I think most people have access to and are using, is that you can't really iterate
on things, right? So if I had a rough sketch and went in with that and was like, okay, AI, like clean up this sketch, there is a fairly high probability that it would end up changing some little details in there, because it's like generating a whole new thing, anew. And like, again, as it gets better, will that change? I don't know. It seems like something you could potentially hard code in like guide rails for if you were making like a drawing specific AI. Not that I want people to do that. I've gotten off the topic of like process videos essentially, but like even those aren't 100% is what I'm saying. They're pretty close, because AI is shit at making process videos because it can't iterate. There was my connection. But, you know, you shouldn't be obligated to do that, right? And people can do these things with their hands, or even like fucking computer modeling, right? Is like its own sort of art style in many ways, especially among like the younger generation. And like you look at that and like it's almost indistinguishable from what an AI output might look like. So it's like I don't know. My conclusion is that this is bad. I'll stop rambling now.
Going back to the music side of things and how distributors and DSPs are currently incorporating the process of flagging whether something does have AI. One specific example of this negatively impacting artists is TuneCore, a music distributor. They recently incorporated AI scanning tools that artists are complaining about en masse. They are posting about it on social media and are not receiving any proper like customer support from the distributor. One particular example that went viral on Instagram is from a Ukrainian musician, Andriana Yaroslava-Syemko. She shared a post recently on her back and forth with TuneCore support after one of her songs got flagged for AI. TuneCore refused to distribute her work, and in this back and forth, she keeps asking how they identified AI in her song and how she can prove that AI was not involved. She went back into...
You can't prove a negative, first of all, inherently.
Exactly. Right? They were kind of being like, oh, maybe it was used in one of the tools on your digital audio workstation, and like...
Girl, fuck you.
Like,
you're not in my DAW. Fuck you.
Exactly. And she's like, so I went back and looked at everything, and I'm only using like Ableton's incorporated plugins and tools.
Look at all my screenshots.
AI.
Yeah. Like, but of course, like, well, you could fake that, or like there could literally you cannot prove a negative. Even if she had recorded a bunch of her process, that would still not be proving that AI had never been involved.
Yeah.
Like, this is why our justice system works the way it does.
Absolutely.
You can't prove that you just like weren't somewhere. You can prove that you were somewhere else, you know? Like, oh, fuck, this is so stupid.
It's really stupid. It's really frustrating for musicians across the board. And
also, Ukrainians don't need any more problems.
No, exactly.
That's why everyone should be nice to Yan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Basically, TuneCore would not provide an answer and insisted some form of AI and unlicensed material was used based on their internal review.
So fucking obnoxious.
And it's so annoying. And in the comments, people kind of got together and were suggesting other distributors that she could use, and like more independent ones that aren't necessarily on that same scale as TuneCore.
Terrible fucking PR too.
Absolutely.
Like, I would not let that email go out if that was my business. I would. Well, after a couple exchanges, I'm stepping in and I'm being like, hey, you know what, babe? I'm sorry. You're right. Here's a coupon. Like, that's not how you deal with things at all.
I'm going to put in screenshots from that post, but it's honestly reads as if AI was used in writing the response. It's such like a generic copy paste.
I mean, AI's fucking built into Google at this point, dude.
Exactly.
Okay, terrifying thing. So my business email is through Google Workspace, and it'll give you the sort of predictive text for like email replies. Yeah. Well, first of all, a lot of the time it's useful, which I don't like. Second of all, a little while ago it wrote a quote in its response to somebody, and I was like, and then I did the math, and the quote was pretty close. I was like, oh no.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And even worse, because it had like the requested like job had multiple factors. Right. So I was like, oh, fuck. Like, dude, yeah, of course there's like a series of equations that you could use to that's how I quote, right? Yeah. It's a series of somewhat complex equations. So of course, if you're a pattern learning machine, you could hypothetically like
be in the right area.
Yeah.
And it wasn't dead on because it doesn't know my actual equation. But I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Like,
Damn.
that was a terrifying moment for me. That was like a year ago too.
Oh shit.
Like, what do I have an intern for? I could just fucking actually that. I've talked with a bunch of people. I could much more easily like automate our quoting process with like a computer program or something, or an Excel whiz, but there's a lot of like conditional shit in there that I don't know how to do on Excel, but like I don't know where I was going with this. Fuck, shit's crazy.
It is. It's scary. I hate that it's shoved down our throats without any option to opt out of it either.
Yeah, I really don't think there is. You can. I was seeing online yesterday someone said that if you're Pinterest is like there's a lot of AI shit on there now. Apparently, if you add a curse word into your Pinterest search, it will exclude that.
Yeah.
And no ads either, because no one wants their ad to be listed alongside like slut or something. Like it was really funny. Like people's searches on it. Apparently, it works for Google too. I think
so.
And you can just add -AI on Google, right? But,
exactly.
Yeah, Pinterest you can't, but it's just outfit ideas. Shit. Like that. People were searching. It was really funny.
Oh, that's great. That's a really good hack.
Yeah, room decor. Fuck! This is, again, how my brain works a lot of the time. Sorry if I just blew out the sound.
Genius. Hot tips. So, to sum up, that was like a great place to end. Fuck shit. To filter out AI slop.
AI. Fuck!
But anyways, AI is unfortunately more and more becoming a prominent factor in the music industry amongst musicians too. And it's very scary to see that there are a lot of people also embracing it without maybe necessarily fully understanding the complexities of the use of AI and how it will negatively affect not just us as, users and humans and listeners of music, but
and the world
as a whole, the environment. There are whole subreddits going on how they are trying to bypass all the like new implementations on flagging AI.
Aye.
There are people trying to find ways to sneakily use and steal different tools from SUNO and UDIO, and it's just like an ongoing thing that is very scary for people that are still genuinely trying to make music for the love of making music and creativity.
I worry also that, like licensing for ads, for, shows, whatever, that is a big part of a lot of working musicians' incomes. And I wonder at what point that starts drying up because people are using AI for like music for their ads.
Yeah.
So that's my other sort of like worry about it on an industry level is like the sort of side gig work that, again, sort of, maintains a lot of musicians' income. Like, I hope that won't be a widespread process, but I fear that it will.
I really hope it won't be. And kind of tied to that, I think there is an ongoing trend of, at least on the creative and visual side of things, of marketing agencies showing more BTS moments to prove that AI was not involved in the process of making certain ad campaigns.
That, or even like more naive design, I think is coming back in a lot of ways because it has that sort of like human touch.
Yeah.
Which is what I kind of hope will be happening with music eventually. It's I think there is a potential the backlash to this could sort of be a recentering of like live music or of like local scenes, right? It's like you go see someone in person, I don't know, they're not AI, right? And having that sort of you have that more emotional connection to the music too. If you've like, at least for me, I only really get attached to bands after I've seen them live.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that backlash, the cultural pendulum will swing back, but I don't know.
Yes, time will tell. But in the meantime, as a musician, what can you do to protect your work? First and foremost, the most important thing, even if like AI wasn't a thing today, make sure your content is copyrighted. Every country has their own copyright office, so check what that respective copyright office is in your country. But in the US, you can just go to copyright.gov to register your music. You can also watermark your audio. Use a reputable audio watermarking software like AudioWatermark, AquaMark, or Digimarc. This doesn't explicitly stop AI from like using your audio necessarily in its training models, but it will help limit the potential use of it in AI training because there is some sort of digital
like warning, essentially.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, you'll have a leg to stand on in a legal case.
Exactly.
That like you warned these people that this was copyright, that this was your work, and that you did not consent to them using it this way.
100%.
So if you wanted to, if it does go to court, you would have that as like on your side, basically.
Definitely. In that same line, you can adjust the metadata of your song, and you can incorporate specific custom fields that just provide further proof that this is your original work, that you are the owner of it. And in addition to adding like the date, genre, ISRC code, you can add a custom field of like, I do not consent to using this in AI training models. And again, it might not necessarily stop it, but it's further proof that you put in the effort to disclose that you are not consenting the use of your music in this particular method.
Well, and also, you know, this would be sort of a down the road development, but part of having a copyright, right, is that once you've filed it, you have to defend it if somebody like infringes on it, which is sort of the basis of this whole Patagonia lawsuit thing that's going on right now. She is actively infringing on their trademark, and they legally have to defend it if they want to keep it, which is why I think they were suing her for like $1 or something.
Yeah.
So like once you have done that, you have to defend it. So I wonder if this will down the line result in people, you know, having to go to court to defend their work essentially. And if it does reach that point, then yeah, having that sort of record would be probably a good thing.
Definitely. On the topic though, very quickly of Patagonia, the public statement that Patagonia made was that they were suing her for $1, but that wasn't the extent of the lawsuit.
Oh, no.
They were trying to make it seem as though that was the case.
Sure.
But they want her to completely stop using the name Patagonia. And that would mean completely just rebranding on her part. That means she is having to remake her entire merchandise, her entire website. So there are further like insane expenses on her part to completely rebrand when her name isn't necessarily tied to Patagonia as the brand. It is the region.
Sure. Which is why the name has been allowed to go on, basically. So I don't know about that, but my understanding is that her merch basically started infringing on the trademark more actively, which is why they did it. But yeah, as to like making her do that, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm certainly rarely on the side of corporations.
Back to how you can protect your music. Make sure that you're opted out of any potential AI licensing agreements your distributor or label may have signed up for. In addition to that, check your YouTube settings, and on Meta as well, make sure that you are opted out of any sort of AI use or any sort of like even advertising use just in case. And the last thing, if you have found that your music was used to train AI without your consent, you can join the Independent Music Creators Lawsuit. It's an ongoing lawsuit supported by the folks of like The Needle Drop, Anthony Fantano, Ben Jordan, Curtis King. A bunch of independent musicians have signed up for this, and I'll make sure to link it in the description. But it is just a class action lawsuit against SUNO and UDIO and their AI training models using people's music without anyone's consent. That was AI in the music industry, but also kind of like a very surface level still take on it.
Sure, yeah, of mostly specifically the companies and how their training data works. I mean, there's, you know, inevitably much more we could delve into, and I'm sure we will, because like I said, I have questions about the copyright of it all.
Definitely.
I have questions about the training of the LLMs or the machine learning programs. Yeah, so I'm sure we will be revisiting this.
Absolutely. Well,
until then.
Thank you for listening to Bushwick Famous.
Yeah, we're on all the good social medias at Bushwick Famous. If you have an idea or if you're an expert on something in the industry that you would like to write into us about. Our email is bushwickfamous@gmail.com. It would be super helpful for us if you left a comment or rated or reviewed the show on whatever platform you're on. And we put out new episodes every other Monday.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.